Thank you very much for joining us here on Urban Debate on Mirror Now. I'm Heena Gambhir. On Urban Debate at 8, our focus is cryptocurrencies in India. After Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman's budget indications on thought the crypto conundrum was on its way to get decrypted. But no, it has actually become more complicated. Now this after Deputy RBI Governor T. Ravi Shankar launched the fiercest attack on cryptocurrencies at a lecture. He said banning cryptocurrencies was the best option available. And that's not all. What may send shivers down cryptocurrency ecosystem in India is what Mr. Shankar also mentioned. The top central banker said they are worse than Ponzi schemes, and that they can threaten the financial sovereignty of a country. He said there are strong reasons to keep cryptocurrencies away from the formal financial system. He justified the opposition by stating that they can, if allowed, most likely will wreck the currency system, the monetary authority, the banking system, and in general, government's ability to control the economy. Now, viewers, you will remember just a few days ago, RBI Governor Shaktikanta had issued a stern warning against investing in cryptocurrencies, saying that they lack the underlying value or even a tulip, referring to the tulip bubble of the 17th century. Now, RBI, we all know, has been quite vocal about its view on cryptocurrencies and has been calling for a ban without mincing any words. Now, the statement by the Deputy Governor of RBI came on a day Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman in a press conference indicated that government and RBI are on the same page on crypto. Listen in.
On crypto, I've said that we are in the process of consultation. Whatever decision the government is going to take will be after the consultation. Now, if you're asking me, therefore, what I'm going to talk on G20, I may not be able to tell you now.
So while the RBI has been in a veiled manner calling for a ban, what view can the government take when the central bank is more than reluctant? In this atmosphere, is there a way to demystify the situation? Let's find out with our experts who are joining us on Urban Debate this evening. We have Subhash Garg, former Finance Secretary of India, D.K. Mittal, former Banking Secretary of India, Ajit Khurana, founder, Stealth Mode Crypto Startup, Anirban Dutta, who is a financial expert, also joining us on this debate this evening. Good evening to all of you. Thank you very much for joining us here on Urban Debate on Mirror Now. Mr. Subhash Chandra Garg, I want to begin the discussion with you. How will you like to react to the statements we've got from the RBI Governor first and then the Deputy RBI Governor on a day? Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman seemed to suggest that RBI as well as the government are on the same page on crypto at least.
Thank you, Heena. I would take it that the Reserve Bank is rightly concerned about the currency aspect of the cryptos and sees this as a threat to the currency and the monetary system. To that extent, I have sympathies with the views of the Deputy Governor, which were expressed yesterday. But I think it's a narrow view. It does not take into account the entire ecosystem of the cryptos. The moment you move beyond the currencies and into the crypto assets and the crypto businesses, then you find that the apprehensions and the concerns don't apply. Even within the currency space, there are two very valid issues which have come up in last few years. One is the way the stable coins have taken over lots of international payments, and the other one, a very intrinsic use of the cryptocurrencies on the platforms of the crypto businesses. For example, Ether is used for Ethereum, and many other cryptocurrencies are used on that. No other currencies can be used on those platforms. If you do that, that platform will collapse. So I think the Reserve Bank would have to do a very fine balancing act when it comes up with the digital currency of its own, that what kind of uses of the cryptos as currencies can be banned. I have full sympathy that general use of cryptocurrencies in the system need to be banned, but the cryptos used in the platform and the interface with the international payments via the stable coins is something and which will need to be looked at very carefully. And the RBI cannot deal with the crypto assets and the crypto businesses.
But Mr. Garg, if you could just help us understand how should we read this statement then, and what exactly is Mr. Shaktikanta Das, the RBI governor, referring to when he says, and I quote, private cryptocurrency or whatever name you call is a big threat to our macroeconomic stability and financial stability. Isn't he really referring to everything that today exists in this cryptocurrency market in India?
See, the Reserve Bank governor and the deputy governor have used three main words: the macroeconomic stability, the financial stability, and the monetary stability. I understand the concern for the monetary stability, because monetary, the money, currency is the money, right? But the larger financial stability, which is essentially the working of the credit system in the country, is not at all at this stage affected by the cryptos. And the decentralized finance, which has started coming up as a business, is a more efficient and alternative channel. I don't see any major threat on the financial stability. And the macroeconomic stability is a far-fetched thing. I don't think it's affected at all.
Okay, you don't see a major threat as far as the financial stability is concerned. Interesting point there. Mr. D.K. Mittal, going by the kind of statements we have got from the RBI governor, the RBI deputy governor, and what the finance minister said yesterday, should the industry be prepared for a ban? Because after the budget proposal, wherein we had crypto tax, 30% crypto tax that the finance minister introduced, the indication was that maybe India is looking at regulating the market instead of banning it completely. But what do you make of the kind of statements that we've got in the last 2 days?
So, Hemaji, thank you for inviting me. I think the statements which have come from Honorable Finance Minister and Reserve Bank are slightly at variance. And I think they express the intention of both. The government intention of taxing it, and also a statement from Revenue Secretary coming that by taxation does not make legitimate. That's one part. On the other hand, the Governor RBI and the Deputy Governor RBI expressing concern from the monetary policy point of view. That's a view. But let me say that this is a technology which cannot be wished away. It depends upon us how we want to use it, how we want to channelize its use, and how it can be used productively, profitably, and beneficially by the country. So we are a developing country. We are not developed where the the monetary policy impact is very limited. I must say, with the respect, compared to a country where everything is linked to the banking system. Everybody has credit card use and everything, which is not the case in India. So that's one issue of debate. But the fact remains that this is a technology which has uses of many uses, and we should channelize the uses for the benefit of the country. That I will say that way. I do not think government is thinking a ban on it. If that was so, it should have been announced in the budget or otherwise. There was no reason for the government to say we want to have 30%, 40% tax on it. So I do not foresee any possibility of putting a ban on it. And if you put a ban on it, I think the technology will remain. See, it is a technology on the internet. So how would you go to control the internet? So all those challenges will come. It is not so easy to control a technology of this nature. The best thing is channelize use, make the uses so good to them, which do not lead to money laundering, which do not lead to the issues which are being raised at different forums. So I think there are methods to do that.
Okay, interesting. What you're saying that, both are expressing their own intention, their own viewpoints. But now, Ajit Khurana, we've been discussing this issue for quite some time now. With, the way RBI has been openly calling for a ban on cryptocurrencies in the country, the kind of words that have been used by the deputy governor this time, comparing it to Ponzi scheme as well. In fact, saying that it's even worse than Ponzi schemes. What view can the government really take when the central bank of the country seems to be so reluctant on this particular issue?
So
central bank is responsible for administering the monetary policy, among other things. And hence, globally, whenever I have experience in 4 countries, I know that the central banker is always the agency who has the maximum concern, and rightly so. We would want the RBI to be concerned about this. Having said that, I must tell you that, even before I came on this program, a few hundred of people connected to me on social media said, go and ask them whether they know this, that, etc. I must tell you that actually I see a lot of positive in the Deputy Governor's statement, because the first half of his statement shows us that he understands this paradigm. Of course, he is taking, I think, an overcautious approach in saying, let's just ban it. When he said it is the best approach, had he changed it to it is the safest or easiest to implement approach, I would agree. But I think it is now the requirement being placed on RBI to not just accept this new technology, but keep India's monetary and other economic systems safe, despite the challenges that he has rightly identified. As far as calling it a Ponzi scheme or worse than a Ponzi scheme or not worth a tulip, etc., sure, that is a way to express himself. I would also, by the way, agree with him one very important thing, that those who are buying and selling crypto or investing in it and hoping to make overnight gains, realize that every get-rich-quick scheme is necessarily also a get-poor-rich scheme, poor-quick scheme, and hence investors should be very cautious while participating in these markets.
So, Mr. Ajit Khurana, you're clearly seeing the glass half full, but simultaneously he's also, without mincing any words, has said that banning cryptocurrencies is the most sensible option. So, is that leading to some sort of uncertainty among investors as well? Because, when the proposal of this crypto tax had come during the budget announcement, the sense was that maybe, if not today, a few months later, the much-awaited bill, which will bring clarity on the fate of crypto in India, will be out, and maybe the government is not inclined to ban it completely. But now the way RBI is coming out again and again and saying that, this is not good, banning it is going to be more sensible, is that leading to uncertainty among investors?
Actually, if you don't stop at the budget but go back like a few years before that, banks started closing accounts of not just exchanges, but also people who were participating in it. Then RBI came up with a ban. Then a committee proposed potentially criminalizing participating in the markets. Then banning news came up again. It was presented, potentially to be presented in the previous budget session. So people in the crypto market have actually been shaken a lot often. So this to them is just shaking number 15. Right, so they probably don't react as adversely to it as possible. Yes, it keeps away prospective investors. So there are a lot of investors.
In fact, one report was prepared by Mr. Garg as well.
That is correct. I
think that was the first one which shook the entire sector, Mr. Garg.
Yeah. See, that report in 2019 basically aimed at banning the private cryptocurrencies. And I think that position still remains by and large the government's position as well as the Reserve Bank's position. The only difference is that in the meantime, these stable coins and the in-platform currency use is what has grown quite a lot. And therefore, that is what is need to be figured out. To come back to your principal question and the comment that the RBI suddenly has become very vocal, and the government probably gave a little bit of a different signal while at the time of the budget. I understand the Reserve Bank has always been, you look at for last 7 years, has been vocally opposed to the cryptocurrencies, and rightly so. It's the authority for the currency management. But what I also got a little surprised is the sudden eloquence and this the use of very sort of high-sounding words for describing this. The government, on the other hand, have made twice the attempt to take the legislation to the parliament, but has not succeeded. That I see as the ability or the inability to come up with the full blast of the crypto system, and it's still figuring out. So I think better approach is to be sort of conscious of its importance in the digital space, with the kind of assets being created, the kind of businesses being created, and not rock the boat too much. and to have consultations. Overemphasizing the ban and giving an impression that the entire system might be banned, which is not the RBI's domain in any case, is to my mind sending...
So essentially what you're trying to suggest that, we need clarity. Sooner than later, clarity is what is needed. Anirban Dutta, what is your opinion on the kind of statements that we've got so far? Would it mean that, the industry should be prepared for a blanket ban? Is that what we should be prepared for?
See, what we have been seeing since last couple of months, from the statements of Mr. Shaktikanta and Mr. Ravi Shankar, that RBI is not in position to, go with cryptocurrency. That's final. The way they have been giving those statements and will it work like a currency? It's absolutely not. So if it works like an, investment assets, then also, although they have, implemented those taxation system of 30% on capital gain, but the point is that the volatility on those investments, what we have been seeing since last couple of years that, the volatility in prices on cryptos, in that case, people, those who are investing on those cryptos, it may so happen that they might face a very huge loss. So for them also, the RBI, they want a safeguard. If they, allow those people of India to invest on cryptos in order to, gain a maximum as they want to, then in that case, it may so happen that, the government will see that, people will take money from banks and they will be only investing in cryptos. The fundamental in stock market and fundamental in cryptos are completely different. Now the people, if they suck money from the banks and put it in cryptos, then the entire banking system would come into a different phenomenon altogether. In that case, for us, in order to take the advantage of the strong financial system, government as well as RBI, the way they are seeing it closely, that it should give a benefit to the society as a whole. See, blockchain is something different. You can't stop blockchain. Okay. Blockchain technology is something relating to technology, but it cannot happen that, only on the, people are saying that, you cannot stop blockchain. So we cannot want that blockchain to stop. Blockchain can be used for other things as well. But if you are allowing cryptos and the way...
So you agree with the kind of concerns that are being raised by the RBI today? When it says that it's worse than Ponzi schemes, banning it is the sensible option that we have in front of us. You agree with that?
See, we have seen that in India. And just for you and, the understanding for the larger audience here, it is not that those who are intellectually, capable enough, they are only, putting their monies on cryptos. It has gone to, that Subhash, it has gone to those, rural areas where, people are only, they are putting their money only for the sake of gaining something from their investment. They do not know what is crypto, how it works.
Mr. Garg, will you like to come in on this? Because we know that the ticket size is quite small. People are investing in large numbers. 500 to 5,000 is the ticket size, I'm being told, for most of the investors. Then there was a report that suggested that over 4,000 crore of illegal transactions via crypto exchanges were also unearthed by ED in India in last 1 year. So if the RBI is asking the government to be extremely cautious, don't you think it is something that the government should also be concerned about?
See, the crypto system has attracted the brightest of the young men and also the navest of the illiterates and those who are more motivated by the greed. They see something multiplying, becoming 20%, 30%, 50% more in few weeks, and then they are drawn into it. So it's not exclusively that only the illiterate and the rural guys and those who are naive or don't understand are coming. It has attracted the best and the brightest of the young people who are also building systems on this. And that is true of any financial phenomenon which comes up or which has come up in last 500 or 1,000 years of human history. The challenge is to sort of divide this. Challenge is to protect the gullible, the unknown, knowledgeable from this phenomenon. And that is the context in which the Reserve Bank and also the government have to do a lot of public outreach to explain that this is not a real asset. This is more of a speculative assets. This is something very highly technical in phase. And therefore, you should stay away. And that can be done by way of bringing appropriate regulations. For example, just look at today for the alternative investment funds, a certain minimum size of investment is required, and you can't do it unless you invest 5 lakhs or 10 lakhs of rupees.
Right.
And that is meant to ensure that only those who have a certain kind of heft and a certain kind of knowledge about the ability to understand come in. By not doing asset regulation, we are actually keeping it open to this segment which is so gullible and manipulatable. So I think the strategy should be that once the asset use, currency use we have discussed earlier, once the asset use of the cryptos is understood, you should bring the taxation system which has come, improvements can happen. You should bring the classification that which kind of cryptos would be sort of allowed to be mined and traded in the country. And then regulate those assets.
So basically, we need clarity, sir. We need clarity, sir. And Mr. G.K. Mittal, why is the government taking so much of time on this particular issue? Because we are waiting for a bill for a very long time, but in the budget, the government did announce a tax which will be on the gains from crypto transactions or digital transactions that we have. Why is the government not really coming out with clarity on this issue? Why is it taking so much of time? Is it because the issue is too complicated, or the government, you think, is in a wait and watch mode, especially at a time when even other countries are not really clear as to what to do with this crypto market in their respective countries?
So, Heema crypto is a reasonably complicated subject. It has evolved over the last couple of years effectively. And as Mr. Garg has said, that its use cases are still to be made out. Some of the use cases which are very clear are in case of full convertibility. Perhaps if countries agree that this can be a use case for transferring money from one place to another, because we should realize that the speed by which cryptos act or cryptos perform tasks is absolutely much higher than what other channels can do. So it can be used for a money transfer scheme within the country and outside, but then you need to create straight-jacketed policies and processes for that. That's something which needs to evolve. So the point is that nobody is aware that what are the use cases to be done. And secondly, the government is always, having so many issues with them. So then crypto is perhaps does not come in that high priority that it has to be resolved. Now that a lot of noise has been raised about it, perhaps.
Well, sir, it wasn't a matter of high priority. The government wouldn't have introduced a 30% tax on the gains from crypto transactions. Definitely, it's a big priority for the government.
No, I never meant that way. It is what is a priority, but Mr. Garg and I would have some idea that how taxation are decided. So I do not think that indicates that is a high priority item to be regulated. But the fact remains that government is always having their handful, and they have challenges to meet all the time. So the fact remains that this is an evolving scenario. It has to evolve. No country has found a solution to this problem or how to regulate this. It is just like the 5G, which is coming in telecom sector. There's not a use case made out very effectively, but everybody is going there. So similarly, we have the cryptocurrency, which is there in use and it's being expanded like hell. And if countries do not regulate it, then certainly there will be deleterious impact of that, as Mr. Garg has said. I would agree with that fully. And what Governor RBI and Deputy Governor said, that is only one aspect of it.
Okay. I have one question on that aspect, but before that, I want to go across to Anirban Dutta. Anirban Dutta, now, should there be a global framework as per as these, cryptocurrencies across the world are concerned, or do you think, what will be more suitable would be to have country-specific regulations? For example, Russia is going to come out with a new law very soon. Reports are indicating that, Russia will be treating cryptocurrencies like a foreign currency. So transactions essentially will be allowed, but the treatment will be very different.
See, in India, we are taking too much time to decide on crypto bill or, what would be the final conclusion on crypto. So if you are talking about a global, law, I say sorry. I mean, it is not possible at all, and it would take, much longer time. We can't say on that thing right now, right? Now, as far as India is concerned, I think government should come out first. I mean, as long as their final decision is concerned, they have already taken much longer time, and that creates a confusion. And you cannot just stop by saying all these statements, in some of the industry forums, because people, those who have started, investing in cryptos, they are still continuing. That 30% imposition of taxation is nothing but initial discouragement. I mean that they want, to restrict those people, those who are only investing to gain out of those speculations. So this is number one. Number two, with the introduction of CBDC, the fate of cryptocurrency, there would be a big dilemma on this, right? Now, government should clear out all these things very fast, because it is not that by paying 30% tax, and as it has already been imposed, that it has been legalized. Government has been saying something which has to be, action first. I mean, whether it has to be allowed, it has to be disallowed, or it has to be allowed as an investment tool, that has to be, clear to the people, those who are investing knowingly or unknowingly, right? As I clearly said, that it is not that, people from good intellects, they are only investing. If you can go to rural markets, I mean, those who are only, inclined to invest their, savings to get something, high returns from Ponzi schemes, they are only now, also getting into all those cryptos. They do not know blockchain. They do not know what are the fundamentals behind those cryptos. They only know, you have to log into those, exchanges, and you have to pay some money, and it may so happen that you may gain by...
I think the bigger worry for the RBI, Mr. Dutta, today is money laundering, Hawala-based transactions, which they believe are growing via cryptocurrencies on dark web. I want to quickly go across to Mr. Garg and Mr. Mittal once again. Then I'll go across to Ajit Khurana. Very quickly, Mr. Garg as well as Mr. Mittal, you both have been a part of the government. You both understand how the government functions. If there are some statements coming on a particular issue from the Reserve Bank of India, what view, in your opinion, can the government take when the central bank seems to be more than reluctant on this particular issue? First to you, Mr. Garg, and then Mr. Mittal.
So the question which you raised a little bit earlier about the international aspect, I think government sees more about that. It's a virtual world where the cryptos operate. And therefore, there is a necessity to have an international cooperation on this. There are many on the telecom, on the internet, where there are international sort of protocols and international agreements to do it. I think we need something on the cryptos as well. But that doesn't take away the need for evolving the domestic policies. There are various aspects relating to cryptos. For example, the cryptos exist in the what we call decentralized autonomous organizations, not on the company format, etc. There is a couple of states in America which have brought laws on this. Russia, you mentioned. So all these need to be studied and brought together. And as far as RBI is concerned, I think government and RBI, the finance minister has been saying that we are now on the same page on almost everything. And therefore, even on cryptos, I think they should evolve a policy that the government is the larger body concerned about the wider crypto system, and the Reserve Bank is primarily concerned about the currency aspect of it. And then they should evolve the position together to move forward.
Okay. Okay. Same question to you, Mr. Mittal.
So my suggestion would be that we need to create use cases, and I'll strongly advise the industry association that they should work on that. There's no point in criticizing RBI or the government.
No,
These
that's
are views.
fine. But since you understand how the government functions, Mr. Mittal, at a time where the central bank is so reluctant on this issue, is openly coming out and calling for a ban, how much of a pressure do you think that is for the government to come out with a policy on subject like this?
So that is one view, very rightly said, for the currency side of it. But that's not the only use, though it is called cryptocurrency. But cryptos are not to be used only for that purpose. There are many more purposes for which it can be used effectively. So the RBI views which have come out is to caution everybody that this is what they feel. But that does not mean, they never said that just ban it. Nobody used this word. They said that these are what uses the deputy governor said, they are correct. It is being used like that way. It is being used for money laundering. There's no doubt about it. So the fact remains that their concerns are right. And perhaps they are raising concerns in public to say that if you're deciding to do something, please keep this concern before you take a view on that. I'll fully agree with that. But the industry needs to bring out use cases. Where are the use cases being brought out by the industry? They can't be saying that we have so much of money attracted and everybody wants to do the way they want to do. That's not a fair way for the country. So they need to create use cases. Where are the use cases?
Mr. Ajit Khurana, I want to give you the last word.
So here's the thing.
Yes.
The good news is that the industry is now not as rattled as it could have been. Everybody is very optimistic. Mr. Mittal will be happy to know that at least at the prototype
prepared to handle all kind of shocks.
Yeah, and many use cases have come up. Sure, these are early days. There's no doubt any new technology evolves that way. But the good, the words that Mr. Garg and Mr. Mittal used, I'm very, very hopeful that that is the way, because of their background also. That's the way the government will eventually think, and we will come up with a sane and just system of cryptocurrencies.
Right.
All right, I'll leave it there. I appreciate all of you for joining us here on Urban Debate on Mirror Now this evening. We'll wait to see what the government has to say after these strong words from the Deputy Governor of RBI on the issue of cryptocurrencies in India.